Hi, everybody. Hi, this is Dr. Ken Muich. I'm on the road again, working with doctors and their fibromyalgia program. If it looks unusual, I'm in a hotel room. And as I mentioned, I'm going to try to do every Monday at 12:30 a presentation on something that is hopefully very, very helpful for you and is directly related to fibromyalgia and many other conditions. This is one of them today. It's called the metabolic syndrome. There's other names for it: insulin resistance syndrome, the American syndrome, Syndrome X, because it has to do with really a number of things that directly involve health problems for the individual. It's a result of modern lifestyle choices, the bottom line. Eating the wrong amounts of food, eating the wrong foods, lack of exercise, too much stress, all of those things lead up to health problems, especially overall bodily inflammation. The metabolic syndrome itself has very many high risks that leads to diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, blood vessel disease, and strokes, cancer, dementia, irritable bowel, fibromyalgia, and many other conditions that affect the whole body's inflammation. That's very, very important. Metabolic syndrome, however, now that you've heard all the bad, is preventable. It's preventable by doing some very, very simple things. Here's the problem. You've probably heard these things before, okay? You have to change your lifestyle. You have choices. You have choices. You have choices of being sick. You have choices of being healthy and living an enjoyable life. And many people I have come into clinic are in their 70s, 80s, 90s, even hundreds, because they have followed some rules and regulations that really has helped their overall health condition. So eat healthy, exercise regularly, reduce stress. I know you've heard those before. Geez, how many times have you heard those things before? But this is very, very important because the metabolic syndrome is something that creeps up on you and can have a number, as I mentioned, another conditions, a number of different conditions health-wise that can adversely affect you. So there are certain signs that usually are involved with this. One of them is, of course, age. As we age, our body starts to slow down a little. You start getting fat, especially around the waist, obesity. You become a little more sedentary. You become insulin resistant, and you're probably stressed from what? From family problems, from maybe illness, maybe from what's going on in the government. It could be stresses from retirement itself, if you're looking in that direction. But there's a lot of stresses that are going on, obviously, in our system. So these risk factors are actually brought on by improper diet, aging, sedentary life, sleep. It leads to sleep deprivation, can be alcohol related, variety of different things. All of those relate to inflammation. When you have a lot of stress, you also have a number of things go on in the body automatically. Cortisol is released into your bloodstream and system, and that affects your glucose and insulin, and can definitely go and add on to overweight. A matter of fact, this metabolic syndrome affects 60% of people over the age of 50, believe it or not, and the percentage is higher for women. And so that's why it's really, really important that you understand that the metabolic syndrome is brought on by things that you can control. Now, when you have fat, oftentimes you look at the stuff around your waist, that's visceral fat. But you also have fat that accumulates around your organs. Both of those things are extremely inflammatory, and they can result in insulin resistance, which means diabetes. And that is a condition that you don't want to have added on to the other problems that you're having. So chronic inflammation itself leads to a number of different things: high blood pressure, cardiovascular problems, atherosclerosis, and again, diabetes. Now, there are answers to all of these things, which makes it very, very nice and easy for you if you just follow them. For example, healthy eating. Okay, you've heard this before. We're not talking about diet here. We're talking about just some really simple steps. First of all, try eating a breakfast. Those people that do not eat breakfast have a much higher level of actually a metabolic syndrome than those that do not. Now, when I'm talking about breakfast, I'm not talking about bacon and eggs and potatoes and bread and all the stuff that goes along with that. Actually, I'm talking about some very, very good things like fruit and yogurt, okay, oatmeal. I know it might not taste as good, but believe me, think long term, okay? If you want to treat yourself to the old bacon and egg thing, so forth and so on, once a week, okay, all right, I understand that. But really, if you want to stay healthy and enjoy life as you mature and age, then eat breakfast, okay? You should also eat foods, you should nibble. Like every 3 or 4 hours, you should have something. You shouldn't have like 1 or 2 real big meals, for crying out loud, because it's too much on your system, especially the insulin, and it might lead again to diabetes and so forth. But nibbling during the day, especially fruits, maybe some vegetables. Hey, I'm eating almonds, a handful of them in between, a couple times during the day. So that keeps your body functioning in a normal fashion, okay? As I mentioned, fruits and vegetables, extremely important. If you're going to order salads or have a salad, boy, the salads are great for you, okay? All those vegetables. However, when you pile on all that creamy salad dressings and so forth, that just kills it. So if you really want your salad dressings, have them put it on the side and dip a little bit into it and so forth, instead of saturating all of your foods and so forth with salad dressings. Now, I have come across at Sprouts especially, there are some that are are calorie-free, sugar-free, all the way up and down the line, and yet they taste fantastic because it's all natural. I'm not trying to sell products for Sprouts, but to be honest with you, that's where I found them, and so that's where I am. Also, I think I'm trying to remember the other place I went to when I was out of town that I got a little bottle to add. But that's what you want to look for. You want to look for that, okay? Just went off for a second. Portion control. You've heard this before. Try to get a smaller plate in front of you, okay? But I'm going to get into foods and so forth a little bit further. Concentrate also on omega-3. I did a blog on this. I did a report on this, comparing omega-3 to omega-6. Omega-3 is fish oil, okay? It has 2 very, very important aspects: an anti-inflammatory, EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, which actually is a brain stimulant. So fish, okay, shellfish, so forth, excellent for you. Omega-3 is so much better. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It's fantastic, okay? Omega-6 is trans fatty acids, okay? You want to stay away from that. What is that? That's red meats and pork and all the foods that you have that are on the shelves that give it a shelf life. That's what trans fatty acids are for, to give it a shelf life. Well, that's bad for you. The ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 should be somewhere around 3 or 5 to 1. 5 of omega-6 to 1 omega-3. However, in most of the studies that have been done, it's in the range of 10, 15, 20, 25 to 1. And the reason why is that we're saturating ourselves with these trans fatty acids, and it overtakes the omega-3. Why is that important? Omega-6 stimulates in the brain something called arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is a precursor. Actually, in effect, it kind of stimulates the production of PGE2, prostaglandins, which is your primary source of inflammation and then pain in the body. So the more trans fatty acids that you ingest, the lower amount of omega-3, then you have a higher level of inflammation. If you already have a health problem, like all those I mentioned, or fibromyalgia, you want to put the fire out. You don't want to increase it, okay? It's very, very important. So the omega-3 is extremely important, and also you can get some of those monosaturated products by eating nuts also, which is great. Like I said, I eat almonds during the day, and that seems to satiate my hunger so I don't overdo it later on. Now, foods to eliminate. Like I mentioned, sugar, gluten, trans fatty acids, dairy products, all of those are inflammatory. Years ago I argued with an MD on a seminar about, sugar is not inflammatory, and this is not inflammatory. Believe me, those are inflammatory. Now, are those all good or bad for you? Gluten, for most people, does have a problem. White breads and so forth. You want to stay off of bread as much as you can. Try it. I'm telling you. You You can try gluten-free products. Just watch, read what the fat level is, the sugar level is, the carbohydrate level, so forth and so on. You want to stay away also from creamy soups, although one of my favorites is certain foods that I like, but I have learned to stay away from them also. Alcohol. Okay, I mentioned alcohol for males, two drinks a day, females, 1 drink a day. Try to keep that at that level. I think it would be very important for you to stay away from animal fats. Like I said, red meat and pork. Look, if you really want to get a real lean piece, okay, real lean piece of meat, and then prepare it by itself. Do you have any natural vitamins that you recommend someone with fibromyalgia should take daily? Natural vitamins. Well, I'll get to that in just a moment if you don't mind. I suggest certain things to fibromyalgia patients. Stay away from fried and processed foods also. What you want to do is some tips is like when you fill your plate up with food, make sure at least a half of it is filled with fruits and vegetables to start with. Okay, that would be really, really important. You want to skip bread if at all possible. You want to have low-calorie foods. Look at labels of everything. Make sure you check that. Let's see. You want to stay away from fats as much as you can. And healthy diet. A lot of people say, what am I going to do for a healthy diet? Well, protein is very, very important. You can get that from chicken, fish, shellfish, and turkey. High fiber foods. You can get that from a lot of fruits and vegetables. Make sure you take as much as you can and enjoy. Snack early, as I mentioned to you. You want to snack, but stay away from sugar in the snacks. Stay away from most granola bars. Read the contents, okay? Most of the granola bars are full of sugar and fats and so forth. Unless you're extremely active, you climb mountains or whatever else, then that's great. But otherwise, for the general public, most of those bars are not good for you. Avoid, like I say, sugar snacks. Avoid processed foods. A size portion is extremely important. Water. Yeah, make sure you have enough water. In Arizona, it's extremely important. The weather is so dry that you don't realize you're perspiring and losing fluids. I always tell patients, those people that are in humid properties and territories, still drink a lot of water. It washes your system out. Let's see, well, also yogurt. Yogurt is extremely important for you to ingest. As far as snacks, vegetable juice is extremely important. I mentioned nuts. I like almonds. About a quarter cup or a handful would do. Let's see, fresh fruits and vegetables. I like to nibble on those. Carrots. I love carrots during the day. Every once in a while, I'll take some. Let's see, fat-free popcorn is good. Oatmeal with fruit. All of those are good. Now, when we place our patients on a fibromyalgia protocol, what we do is we take sugar, gluten, trans fatty acids, and dairy out of their products. For those people that don't know, sugar, gluten, trans fatty acids, and dairy. Those are recognized and known for being inflammatory. Now, if you have a food that you eat, like let's say you can't eat asparagus, then don't eat asparagus. If you can't eat plums, don't eat plums. Okay, I can't tell you what your individual body can or cannot take. We also place patients on a restricted hypoglycemic diet, and that's what we're talking about. A restricted hypoglycemic diet is chicken, fish, shellfish, turkey, fruits and vegetables for the most part. Stay away from caffeine. That's not good for you, if at all possible. I know people say, I have to have my coffee. You're probably going to have some. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I haven't had that happen to me yet when somebody's phoning in. I don't know how I can stop that. So do you have any natural vitamins? As I mentioned, we place patients on omega-3, high doses of omega-3. Omega-3 has to do with like I said, EPA and DHA. EPA is a natural anti-inflammatory. DHA is a brain stimulant, believe it or not. And so we place them on. You have to have at least 3,000 milligrams of the EPA and 2,000 of the DHA for it to be successful and work properly, so that it has good products. Malic acid, which is a natural vitamin, natural anti-inflammatory. You've heard the term an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's taken from the Latin term malum, okay, which stands for apple. So apples really are natural anti-inflammatories. So when you talk about natural vitamins, that's one way to do it. That's one product that we suggest. Magnesium, I know it's not a natural vitamin, but magnesium is extremely important for those patients, especially fibromyalgia patients that have a lot of fatigue. The magnesium actually stimulates the mitochondria in your body to produce adenosine triphosphate, which is your natural way to health in itself. The adenosine triphosphate is for everything. Your ability to shake your head, move your body, all of the organs are directly affected by the mitochondria and its production of ATP. If you're not producing ATP, not only is your immune system deficient and open to all sorts of problems, but you don't have the strength to even get out of bed. So that's why that's important. We also place patients on CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, which is really, for the most part, a natural product, and it actually stimulates your body to burn fat, whether you're active or inactive. We place our fibromyalgia patients on that because, and this goes along with the metabolic syndrome, fibromyalgia patients are fatigued all of the time, and so the last thing that they're worried and concerned about is exercise. So what we do is we place them on conjugated linoleic acid, and they start burning fat, and that, along with the magnesium, they start feeling less fatigue and more energy and actually ability to actually do some things. And that goes along with the metabolic syndrome. Exercise for fibromyalgia patients is an anomaly, so to speak. It's rare that I have a fibromyalgia patient that actually goes out and does what we would call regular exercise, treadmill, stretching, weightlifting, so forth. I have a few. Matter of fact, I have quite a few that have gone through the protocol that are back to no pain, no fatigue, very active. But those that have still active fibromyalgia, that are still symptomatic, are having a lot of problems as far as exercise is concerned. That's why if you can't exercise, even walk, then it's very, very important as far as food, the amount of food and the types of food. I have low glycemic foods that I concentrate on, not high glycemic. Low glycemic are the carbohydrates that are good for you. Again, a lot of the fruits and vegetables and so forth that you can eat. And those are the ones that you should really concentrate on so that you don't add additional fat to your body. Keep in mind, if you were 170 pounds last year and you're 170 pounds this year, but you didn't exercise, anywhere from 5 to 10% of your lean tissue has turned into adipose or fat tissue. That's a fact. It's if you don't exercise, then your body starts to really break down. Your lean tissue breaks down, and it really is gone into fat. And what did I say about fat? It's inflammatory. That adds on to your pain and inflammation in itself. Other natural vitamins? Well, it's kind of interesting because our protocol, once you get into it, does not allow for anything that would be supplemental, so to speak. It has to be taken directly from foods itself. So anything that is plant-based, salicylate-based, and that's anything that's plant-based, that's another term for plants, salicylates, can't be ingested if it's a supplement, okay? You have to get that through your natural foods, and that would be, of course, the ones we just talked about, fruits and vegetables. Look, there's a lot of wonderful things. There's a lot of wonderful nutrients in foods. Problem today is finding the foods that you can actually get nutrients out of, because there's so much fake plants that are being developed, so to speak, from chemistry, so to speak. So you get all these foods and so forth, but you're not really getting all of the vitamins that you had hoped to get. And yet our protocol has a restriction in that supplements based upon salicylates is a restriction. However, you know, if you eat the right foods and you do what we suggest, most patients that do that come out really wonderful. They have a tremendous response in itself. Keep in mind, our protocol does not treat your other conditions, all the other things. However, it does help them because fibromyalgia actually adds inflammation to all the other conditions. But I have mentioned before that if you're eating properly and if you're on our protocol, it's going to help a lot of these other conditions. Now, it's not going to reverse osteoarthritis. It's not going to reverse rheumatoid arthritis. It's not going to reverse MS. So certain of the conditions we can't really help you with, but we do help you in another fashion. It negates the additional inflammation that comes from fibromyalgia. And so I think that's very, very important. So your other conditions should not be as bad symptomatic-wise. And I think that's extremely important. So this metabolic syndrome is kind of sneaky, and we do it ourselves. It's not something you catch from somebody else. It's bad habits, no exercise, improper foods, too much food, okay? Listen, and I'm running probably a little bit late on here, and I apologize, and I'm sorry for whoever called in on my machine here, on my phone itself. But I did the same thing. Last Thanksgiving, I tried an experiment. I always watch what I eat, but from Thanksgiving last year to Easter this year, I just let myself go. I just ate whatever I really wanted to see what I was going to do. I did gain some weight, but when I went in for testing, I was, which I do every year, I was pretty well shocked. Just in that short period of time, from Thanksgiving actually to April, so November, December, January, February, March, April, about 5-6 months, my whole body chemistry had literally changed. My triglycerides were up, my low-density lipoproteins were up, my HDL was down, my sugar was up. All this just in 6 months, and this is from years of exercise, working out, and really watching what I do. So we right away I said, now I know how fast things can turn around. And so what I did was I've done exactly this. I've watched the foods I eat again, and I've lost over 20 pounds just by following what I've done. So I know it works, and you too can do the same thing. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call at my clinic, 480-948-4955, 480-948-4955. We're here to help you. We're going to help you with a lot of your health problems, especially the fibromyalgia patients. I want to thank you so very, very much. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. Sorry about that person calling in. That was crazy. But hopefully you're still on, and I want to thank you very, very much for following me. I'll see you next Monday at 12:30 with another exciting subject that we'll be covering. Thank you so very, very much. Have a great day. Natalie, thank you very much for the information and the question, and I do hope I answered it. If not, please let me know how else I can help you. Bye-bye now.